What's up guys, this is going to be a remake of a video I made on my previous channel that I thought could have been improved on because there was some stuff I did not cover and just the overall quality of the video wasn't that great. So this is going to be on the secrets of the Old Chateau, and as we all know, the Old Chateau is like this weird abandoned mansion in the Sinnoh region, and it's hard to kind of tell if the mansion is just weird and abandoned, it's just supposed to be there as like a little side quest, or there's actually a deeper, darker story to what happened in the mansion. So the first part of this video, I'm going to go and read a theory that I found online, and it reads kind of like a creepypasta, so you're gonna have to just sit back and relax for this part. And then after that, we'll delve a little deeper into the theory and see whether or not it's actually plausible. Quite some time before the events of Pokemon Diamond and Pearl, a man and his wife lived in the Old Chateau. They had a daughter and lived a quiet and peaceful life. There were several butlers working in the Old Chateau. One of them was called Charon. He had a knack for messing around with electrical equipment in the mansion. One day, he went into the basement of the mansion to fix an electrical problem from a recent thunderstorm. As Charon was fixing the problem in the basement, he found a peculiar looking object in an unused washing machine. He messed around with the object, which he called a motor. After a couple of days, the motor came to life. Charon realized this certainly was not a motor, but a new species of Pokemon. He called the Pokemon Rotom, and adopted it as his own. Several weeks later, the man's daughter was having a problem with his microwave. She called on his favorite butler to fix it, but he couldn't do the job, so he called on Charon to help him. Charon didn't know how to fix a microwave either, but he knew that Rotom could transform into one, so Rotom transformed into a microwave. Before cooking anything, they decided to test the Rotom microwave. The test went horribly wrong. Flames came bursting out of Rotom's mouth and filled the kitchen with smoke. Charon commanded Rotom to stop, but it couldn't. The smoke was starting to spread throughout all parts of the mansion. There was nothing that could be done except to evacuate. Everyone made it out in time, except for the man's daughter. One of the butlers quickly realized this and went in to find her. The butler eventually found her and realized the girl had been poisoned from the smoke. He searched everywhere in the mansion for medicine. He finally found an antidote in a trash can, but it was already too late. The butler started choking from the fire and eventually died from suffocation. This girl soon perished from carbon monoxide poisoning. Rotom felt emotionally depressed following the event, so he confined himself in a television set for the rest of his life. Charon, realizing the trouble and damage he had caused, ran away from the scene, and later worked as a scientist for Team Galactic. The man's wife was distraught at what had happened, so decided to take up Pokemon training. She decided to train with the Ghost type, so she can communicate with her deceased daughter. She later became a gym leader in Hearthome City. The man, he was just as distraught as his wife. He built a mansion just exactly like the Old Chateau, but it just didn't feel right. He returned to the Old Chateau and retrieved a statue from the entrance hall, and the bodies of his daughter and the butler. He placed the statue in his office and interred the bodies in two separate rooms in his new mansion. No one is allowed to enter these two rooms. The ghosts of the butler and the girl still haunt the Old Chateau to this very day. The butler is still desperately trying to find the antidote, but he does not know that he will reach the girl in time. As for the girl, she is still waiting for the antidote in her room. She does not know that she will live. I think the best way to start analyzing this theory would be to take a look at the characters. So let's take a look at Charon. Charon is one of the four commanders of Team Galactic. He's a short and stout older man with glasses. The fact that he's old definitely helps his case to be involved with something that happened at the Old Chateau, because clearly the mansion has been abandoned for years. And in the games, it's no secret that Charon encounters Rotom, as there is a mysterious notebook in the room where Rotom is found, the room with the TV in the Old Chateau. And that notebook reads, "It was by pure chance that I obtained information about the Pokemon Rotom. Remarkably, Rotom has the ability to enter and merge with special motors. It is known that Rotom can stay inside a motor almost indefinitely. However, it will emerge if it enters a union room or Wi-Fi club. Rotom will also emerge from the motor if it is left at the daycare. Rotom may also forget certain moves when it leaves a motor. This Pokemon requires exhaustive observation and analysis. To ensure I get all the credit, my Rotom research must be kept secret. They will come to recognize me as the scientific genius Chair," and that's where the notebook ends, but obviously it was supposed to say Charon. There's a second notebook, but it's a really long entry, and it's mostly just about somebody finding Rotom and hanging out with him. Now, it doesn't say that Charon was the one who wrote this, but it seems like Charon did, because I don't think anybody else in the games really expressed having any knowledge of Rotom existing. Now, in Heart Gold and Soul Silver, Charon doesn't appear, but a copy of the notebook is present in the basement room of Silph Co. where Rotom's forms can be accessed as well. So I'm not sure if that has any significance as to what happened to Charon or anything, because he said he wanted to keep his research secret, but I think that's just a coincidence, and they were using that at... I don't think that these notebooks actually have any real significance to the story. I think that it's more just that they're trying to figure out a way to explain Rotom's form changing to anybody that didn't know how it worked. So what they did was have him write these notebook entries. Now there is one other thing about Charon that I realized that was a little bit weird. In Greek mythology, Charon is the Ferryman of Hades who carries souls of the deceased to the underworld. So far, I definitely think Charon was involved in the events of the Old Chateau. Some of the other characters in this theory, I don't think they really were. One character who I think undoubtedly was not involved is Fantina. It just doesn't really make sense that she would have been at the Old Chateau at the time that these events took place. Most of the characters, well, the two characters that we know, Mr. Backlot and Charon, they're both older. So Fantina, she doesn't look young, but she's definitely not as old as Charon and Backlot. Charon looks like he could be in his 60s, and Backlot, it's hard to tell, but is definitely not a young man. Now, one of the things that people were saying is that Fantina had to be involved because the Old Chateau, it has French origins. Chateau means mansion, and you can find the Old Chateau within the Old Chateau, and Gâteau means cake. But the thing is, Fantina, in the games, it said that she's not from the Sinnoh region, so she couldn't have been at the Old Chateau. And the only reason she speaks French is because they want her to seem foreign to the users. So in the English version, she speaks French, but in the Japanese and French version, she speaks English, so it really just has no connection to the Old Chateau whatsoever. And the fact that she uses ghost Pokemon is just the type of Pokemon she uses. While it may have made for an interesting story, does not add up with the facts given in the actual Pokemon games. Speaking of Mr. Backlot, not much is actually known about him, except that he's extremely wealthy. He's the owner of the Pokemon Mansion and its trophy garden. He's also said to be the owner of Amity Square, and he's a compulsive liar. He lies about the Pokemon that he sees in his garden, and his butler comes and stalks those Pokemon in the garden for people to go see, to make it look like his master is actually telling the truth. So I don't know, Mr. Backlot could potentially be like mentally insane and like unstable, but it is said that his hometown is Hearthome City, which is not near Eternia Forest, where the Old Chateau is. So this makes it seem like he's not actually linked to anything that happened at the Old Chateau. However, there are a few things that are a little bit fishy about his Pokemon Mansion. His Pokemon Mansion has the exact same design on the outside as the Old Chateau, as well as having one statue inside the main area. The main area of the Old Chateau, there is also one statue, and it appears that one is missing. Now, most of the time in the Pokemon series, when you see these statues with the little Pokemon on top, I can't find any other time where there's only one statue. They're always in pairs. So it would make sense that those statues were linked together and are from the same place. So while I don't think he's connected to the theory in the way that they say he is, I still think that he definitely had a role in the Old Chateau. Now, these next two characters go along with each other because they can both be seen as ghosts in the Old Chateau, and that is the Butler and the little girl. You know that they're ghosts because their legs don't actually have any animation, they just seem to glide wherever they go. So the little girl, you can see her when you walk into the bedroom, and she'll be in the bedroom next to you, and she'll walk out into the hall, but when you try and walk out into the hall after her, you can't see her and she just disappears. And the Butler has a similar sequence of events where you walk into the dining hall and you see him, and then he just floats away off screen towards the dining room, and you don't see him again. And what's hard about these two characters is the game gives you literally no backstory. Nothing even acknowledges their existence. You kind of just see them, and that's all you really get. That's all the information we have. Now it's time to put together the pieces of the puzzle. What I believe really happened is that Backlot came from wealth, and he did not earn his riches himself. That's why he acts like a child, and allows his butler to make his lies reality, and is used to having his every need catered to and being pampered. As children, Charon and Backlot were friends, or possibly even related. One day, Backlot invited Charon to go to his vacation home in Eternia Forest. Charon accepted, and Backlot, his parents, Backlot's little sister, and Charon set off. Once there, Charon was amazed at all the expensive technology wealthy people could afford. Because he was smart for his age, he inspected much of the technology, and eventually found Rotom. Charon was so happy he had made a new friend. Charon, being a very curious child, started to analyze and run tests on Rotom. He recorded all of his findings in a notebook, and also kept a journal of his good times with Rotom. Charon learned not only all of Rotom's abilities, but his limitations as well. One day, to show his gratitude, Charon decided to make dinner for his hosts, but used Rotom as his oven. It backfired immediately. The house filled with smoke, and many things burst into flames. Charon rushed upstairs and grabbed a copy of his journal. To protect Rotom, Charon commanded him to possess the TV, and not leave unless it's safe. He then escaped outside. Most of the staff had escaped as well. However, one brave Butler went back in after the remaining Backlots. The only Backlot he could get back out was Mr. Backlot, who lives now. Backlot, as the rest of his family had died in the fire, inherited his family's wealth and had the Pokemon Mansion built, as well as the Trophy Garden, so the Pokemon would keep him company while he was lonely. Charon, distraught at what his actions had caused, mailed his research to Sylph Company to see if they had any information on Rotom, and what could have gone wrong. Because Charon could not live with himself, he started a new life and joined Team Galactic. Hopefully you guys agree with me that my theory was a little more plausible than the previous one, mostly because some of the information in the previous one just didn't add up, as there was information in the game that just straight out contradicted it. So if you guys enjoyed this, could you please leave a like and subscribe to my channel for more? That would help out so much. Thank you for watching, and see you later.